Hey guys, welcome back to the JK Way. I am Jay.
And I'm Kay, and we are back with another video. So today's video will be about
6 months being married.
6 months. We are half a year old, okay? Y'all know babies that, first time moms and stuff, they be having like half-month-old birthdays and stuff like, half-year birthdays, like, they're half year. So we are half a year old. We have made it to almost 7 months now.
Yeah, the engagement was 1 year ago.
Today.
If you haven't checked out that engagement video, go to the JK Way YouTube channel. Check it out.
Yeah, they're already on the channel, but
just let it flow.
No.
Yeah, just let it ride.
No,
all right,
just
let it ride.
Just go and watch our engagement video if you have not watched it yet. Gosh. And we're keeping this in here too.
Yeah, okay.
I was just saying.
6 months into it and I still get fussed at.
Baby, hey, I didn't want you to be wrong on public television.
I wasn't wrong. I said just go on the JK Way channel and watch the video. That's not
wrong, but they're already here. But
they gonna stop the video and go look at it. They can go to the channel, go scroll through, click on the engagement thing that's listed in the channel, because you can actually click on somebody's channel in YouTube and see all the videos that's in their channel.
But if they watching this video, they already on our channel.
They on this video.
Okay. But anyway.
Go ahead. How you feel?
How you feel?
Good.
You sure?
Yes.
Why you so aggressive?
Cause I had it.
Okay, let's go on ahead. So 6 months of marriage, half a year. We just wanted to talk about some things that we've experienced, we've learned, we've unlearned, just where we are in this 6-ish months of marriage, okay? So let me tell y'all, marriage is very, very interesting. It's beautiful and all of that, but baby, every day it's just interesting. I think that's just the best word for it. Like 2 lives coming together, 2 households coming together, 2 separate personalities coming together. It can be interesting. You can't plan for it. There's no way you can just be like, all right, this is how it's gonna go. But you just don't know. So I wrote some notes down because, I just needed to keep focused. But
I'll never write notes down.
Exactly. So that's just how I work and that's how he works. So just so some of the topics or situations that we've experienced or whatever, let's start with our home situation. So I don't think many of y'all know, so before we got married, Jay had his own condo. I think you had maybe 2 years already or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So he already had his own space, and I had just bought my house in 2020, July 2020, and we got married September 21. Yeah.
You forgot?
No, I was just I know it wasn't 20. But
it was 6 months ago.
Yeah, right. So that's one topic that people have to figure out. When you get married, 2 people already have homes. It's not like either of us was renting. I had just bought a house. He was already in his house, so we had to figure out which way we were gonna go. And so his condo is 2 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and then my house is a 4-bedroom house. So it only just made sense for him to move over here than me to move over there. And so what we end up doing is he just ended up renting out his condo, and
which was gonna happen anyway. So he kind of sped up that situation.
Yeah. So that's what we end up doing with that. I know some people do different things. Some people might sell. Some people might whatever the case is. But we decided to keep his as a rental property and to move into mine because we just had more space and stuff here. You have something?
Well, when you move in with somebody into a shared space, there definitely comes adjusting to being in a shared space because we both pretty much, for the most part, lived solo or just had to do our own thing without having to answer anybody or worrying about does this make somebody else feel uncomfortable or if this not up to their standard of living.
Right.
Definitely take some adjustments. Because I'm pretty much laxed about everything.
99.999%.
Like everything. She's more
high strung.
Yeah, she'd be stressed out.
I don't be stressed out because I don't let stuff stress me, but I do be like
stressed out.
This needs to be done, that needs to be there, this needs to be up here. I'm probably a little OCD or something. I don't know. Yeah. But like, so with that being said, like coming in together and making sure somebody else is comfortable and you doing things your way and they're doing, he's doing it his way. Like
I always put the toilet seat down.
That is something I never had to worry about, which I'm so grateful for because I just can't. But
my mama taught me well.
Like, thank you. Like even with that, I was raised in a household with 4 kids. So we had systems going on because if you have 4 kids in the house, there has to be some kind of system into place or it's gonna be a disaster when you walk in there. And my mom and stepdad was not having that. So we were like militant when it came to chores. Like we had to do our chores every day. Every Saturday we was like spring cleaning. Like I'm talking about top to bottom cleaning, okay? The house was smelling like bleach. We was smelling like bleach. And that's just what needed to happen in order to keep everything afloat. Jay, on the other hand, is an only child. He's like his mom's only child, and so the cleaning and all of that, he really just
it's a whole lot less.
Right. And so into my adulthood, like I tend to have those same expectations when it comes to cleaning. Like stuff needs to be done. Now, granted, my life is way busier now than it was when I was a kid, and so I don't clean up as I did on a day-to-day basis, but when it's time to clean, it's time to clean, and I want it done. Like I'm talking about, I don't want a piece of hair nowhere. I don't want to see a dirt nowhere.
Dirt.
I was gonna say a dirt buster. Is that wait?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I lint. I don't want to see like dust from the blinds. Like when it's time to clean, it's time to clean. And so sometimes within the 6 months of marriage, I was about to say 6 years. Like sometimes it's like we've been trying to find a balance because it's like I don't want to tell him like he's a kid like, all right, how long is that cup gonna sit there, or how long before you about to dump the trash? Like the trash, you piling it up, and in my house we didn't pile up the trash. The trash goes out every single day, so there is no need for a pile. And so within this time frame, it's just I've been trying to figure out like how to say something without coming off as like I'm trying to be his mama, but then like I don't really want to be comfortable with it just sitting there. But I think I've just been learning now. Sometimes I don't say nothing. I might give him like 2 days. Like, all right, you want to let the stuff stack for about 2 days? But the moment I walk in the house and it smells like trash or something, then that's like, I'm like, all right, babe, you gonna dump that trash?
But that don't really be happening.
No, I'm saying like, I'm learning now to not say anything until I just really can't take it anymore. And I mean, I have walked in before and it might like smell like some like fruit that's that's been in the trash and now smell like rotten fruit or something like that. But that's definitely something like you got to get used to, like when you move in with somebody or whatever, because it's like like I say, you don't want to come off as a mama, but you want to be comfortable in your own house, but then you don't want to feel like you have to do everything by yourself because I got a partner now, so why should I have to do everything by myself in order to make sure that it's done right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, there's certain things I would purposely leave to you, so it's done right.
Okay.
Because I'm not about to get fussed at. I get fussed at all day.
I do not fuss at you all day.
All day. It's okay.
I don't fuss at you all day.
You're a fusser.
To be honest.
You fuss at me
And when you say fuss, explain to people, like, what do you mean by fuss? Because I'll just tell him something like, hey, babe, like you gonna clean the dishes today or something? Like, that's not a fuss, that's a question. But he'll be like, you fussing at me. Bruh, when?
Be fussing at me. I feel fussed. I was fussed at.
No, that's not a fuss, though.
I was fussed at.
Okay, look, the next thing, our first argument, our first argument in 6 months of marriage. Do you remember what it was?
No, you told me, you mentioned it the other day, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me tell you. So we had our first argument.
I'm probably still gonna think it's not worth arguing about. Whatever.
No, but like in our first 6 months of marriage, yeah. So we had our first argument, and it was maybe a month or so after the wedding. So it was all behind our wedding photos. Okay, you remember that?
No, I still don't remember.
So our wedding photos. So that thing stung me. It didn't sting me. It was just like, dang, this is our first argument. So we had got our wedding photos back. Of course, you get them back maybe a month after the wedding or so. And we had.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
We had collectively agreed to post the wedding photos at the same time. Like, ladies, y'all know how it is. Like, y'all done had a big old event, a wedding or something, and you just can't wait to get these photos back. And then when you get them back, you just want, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's announce us to the world. It's like, it's a together thing. And so with those photos, once we got them back, so they had sent us like, maybe like a few photos, and then the rest were gonna come a couple weeks later. So when they had sent us those first few photos, right, I was getting ready to post one of those pictures. And he was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait until we get them all back in case I see, one that I like better. And I was like, actually, that's a good idea. So let's just wait. I said, we're not gonna post until we get all the photos back. And he agreed, okay? He agreed. One night, he thought it was sweet, but I thought it was not, because we had talked about when we were gonna post. So one night, it's like the wee hours in the morning. Actually, I ain't gonna tell you that. So I wake up one morning and he's posted wedding pictures, right? And he like tags me and put like this cute little saying or whatever. It's very long paragraphs under it. And I'm like, I didn't even get excited about it. The first thing I seen when I seen he posting pictures was like, bruh, we said we was posting these pictures together. I've literally waited weeks until we got all the pictures back because I wanted to post, but then you made a valid point to wait till we got them all back. So I've been holding these pictures, can't wait to share them. And we agreed to wait. And then I wake up in the morning, you didn't post the pictures? What? And he's like, oh, I thought I was doing something sweet. How was that sweet? You went against our word. That was our first argument. And I'm telling you, that thing bothered me so bad because I'm like, how that make sense? How did that make sense?
I don't know. I don't know. I plead the fifth. I don't know. I shouldn't have posted the pictures. What was going through
your mind when you posted it?
I don't know. I just posted the pictures. It wasn't like, it was just, oh, okay, she'll wake up to this nice little post, but I was wrong. And
he was only wrong because we decided together that we were going to wait. So I felt like...
I didn't think it was that big a deal.
Yeah, and I felt like the moment you decided you were going to change that, you should have had a conversation with me because we agreed together that we were going to post at the same time. So when you decided to have a change of heart, I feel like I should have been a part of that. But he was like, well, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I'm like, bro, but we had a whole conversation about it. So that was like our first little argument in marriage because he just could not understand why I felt the way. And I'm like, how do you not see how that was wrong? Like, how did you not see that? I didn't understand. But yeah, so that was like our first argument. As far as finances go, that's another thing in marriage that you kind of need to discuss or, you know, have conversations about, because there is no, what I've learned in the 6 months, like there is no right or wrong way to do things in marriage. Like, and that's been, I think, one of my biggest challenges in the 6 months, like trying to figure out what works for us versus what I've been told it should look like, what I thought it should be like. Like, I think just trying to find the J and K way to do this marriage thing. And I think, because even the finance aspect changed from when we first got married to like even where we are now, because I think we've just been trying to figure out what works for us. And so that's definitely, and like I'm gonna tell you guys, it will do what works for you. Everybody.
Yeah, there's only one answer to it, and it's literally doing what works for your partnership at the end of the day, because it is a partnership. And one thing I would agree with is don't make it so finances feel like a burden on one person. I'm not saying do 50-50. I'm not saying do 60-40. I'm not saying do 70-30, 90-10, 80-20, whatever that is. I'm just saying, if whatever y'all agreement is, don't make it seem like that's all they're there for. Like they're just there to provide, whether it's the man or the woman, they're just there to provide for everything. And if they are, make them feel, at least go above and beyond to make them feel special, make them feel like they're just more than a bank.
Right. So. Right. And I think we do a good job.
We did some trial and error.
Yeah, it was definitely some trial and error. And once again, it was just like, well, this is what we think it's supposed to be like. Well, they say they do it like this, so you supposed to pay this and I'm supposed to pay this, or I'm not supposed to pay this. You supposed to, like, we had to fit, and it was weird even having the conversation, because it was like I don't want to make it seem like this or that, but this is how I feel. And that goes into my next point, like in this like 6 months of marriage thing, is like it was tough. I think we're better now, but trying to express my feelings without making him feel away. And then it's almost like you don't want to be walking on eggshells in your own house. So I've been trying to, like, in this 6 months, I've been learning like what I can say versus like how to say it, or, you know, I think me as a person, I'll just say something outright. And it's like, I'm always thinking like, well, if you know me, you know I'm not trying to hurt you. So if I'm just saying this, you should know that I'm saying it out of love, even if it doesn't come off sweet and silky. You know what I'm saying? And so that was something that I had to kind of
take away from it hurting.
Right, and it's like, but it's like I never intend for that. But so I've been learning in the 6 months of marriage, like how to say certain things or when to say it versus just saying it. I mean, in some things you're just gonna have to tell your partner. You're just gonna have to say it. But I've been learning like when to speak, how to speak, because just naturally I'm not a soft like girl. So it's like, and sometimes I feel like you're more softer in like receiving. Like, I don't think you're the best at receiving, and it could be because of how I'm saying it. Like, I don't know. Like,
well, part of it is because of I bring in my own stuff, because I don't really. For me to start bringing something to your attention, it gotta like really like it's gotta get under my skin, or something that could be like detrimental to the relationship. So with me, I'm so like just chill about whatever. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, sure, whatever. If that's what you want to do, if that's gonna work, you just try it. But I never, like, I don't say never, but there's I would say rare times where I'm like, hey, we should do this, or I think you should do that. I just kind of like.
And that's something that I've been having to get used to as well, because in my mind, it's like, I don't want you to wait until I'm under your skin to say something, because then I feel like you've been holding stuff in. Like, I overthink a lot of things. And so like, so sometimes silence to me means like, bruh, like, you just been holding on to this, like, because if you ain't said nothing this whole time, and then the moment you say it, it's like, shh. I'm like, well, why didn't tell me, like, that's how you was feeling when I asked, or when I did this, or when I did that? And so that's something I'm learning too, like, because he's very just calm about a lot of stuff, and it's like, are you really feeling like you don't care, or you just saying that because you don't want to think about it? Like, that's what be going on in my mind. Like, what you want for dinner? Or I don't care.
Gotta figure it out. She gotta figure it out. And I be telling her everything don't need to be figured out.
Yeah. And so he has been trying to teach me that lesson within this 6 months. And
it's hard for her.
It's very hard.
But she try real hard.
I be trying, y'all. I be trying, but I be like,
you know, my nerves. It's out of love.
It's out of love, and I don't be trying to get on his nerves. But yeah, of course, another topic, in-laws, right? Like, when you get married to a person,
marry the family too.
You marry the family to a certain degree. Like, not saying you gotta just do and be everything with the family, right. But essentially you marry into a family. And so with us,
our families are like complete opposites.
Like, opposites. Like, our moms are like 10 years apart. Like, my family has a lot of kids from like kids. His family, not so much. Like, my family is younger, his is slightly older. And so there's a lot of differences.
From the South and from the West Coast.
Right, so there are like a lot of differences. And I don't, like, we've never shared this publicly, but initially before we got married, like, me and his mom was like cool. Like, when I say cool, like, she lives like 2.5 hours away or so. And so it's not like we like see each other all the time, and he, you know, he don't see his mom all the time. That's just is what it is. But you know, when we would go visit her or whatever, it was cool. Like, it was good. But boy, like, when we was about to get married, I seen a totally different side of her, and I was confused because I'm like, we've been cool this whole time. Mind you, this is her only child.
Yeah.
But it was a different kind of experience. I'm like, this is not, I'm talking about the day before the wedding. The day before we finna get married, I see this totally different side of her. And that thing shook me up. I was like, wait, this ain't the same woman I've been cool with. And it hurt so bad because I was like, dang, we finna get married in less than 24 hours. And this, like, is this how you feel? Like, is this the real you? And so, you know, it was weird. Like I said, we was getting married the next day, so it was weird at the wedding. But after the wedding, like, I expressed to Jay kind of like how I was feeling, how she was making me feel, like stuff that I seen her doing and saying. And that was like the first time in our marriage where he kind of had to like take up for me. You know what I'm saying? I think that was our first experience where, no, that was like the second. So the marriage process alone was, I think that was our first experience where we actually had to come together as a partner, like partners.
Yeah, that was, I think that was like the first of like, I am her husband, she is my wife, we're together.
Right, like we're one.
What people say, do, if one of us feels some type of way, we both feel some type of way.
Right, right. And that was
on those occasions, and this kind of goes back to what we just talked about. I don't say nothing until it's time to say something.
Yeah.
And both of those times, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Which the first time it was actually my family.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even, like, they weren't saying anything about him. Like, my family loves him. Like, I'm talking about my grandparents on both sides, my mom, my sisters, my brother, my nieces and nephews, everybody loved Uncle Maul, okay? Like, they always tell me, girl, if you do something wrong, if something happens, because it was you. Like, he can do no wrong. My uncles love him, my goddad, like, everybody is like Team J, right? So my family welcomed him with open arms, but my family is also very opinionated, which we shared this in the last video, or one of the last videos. So like during the whole wedding process, like we had certain things that we wanted and did not want for the wedding, and my family was trying to challenge all of that, and it was like bothering me so much so that Jay had to step up. Well, he didn't have to, but he felt the need to step up and say, you know what? This is what we decided, this is what it is, and that's what it's gonna be, you know, and that's just what it is. And so I think that was the first time we like had to come together as one. And then the second time, well, you know, was his mom, and that was in the same situation. But
and I think all of that, like during those moments, they obviously didn't feel good, but I think they both needed to happen.
Yeah, and because it challenged you to have to speak up and say, this is what it is.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Not even just that. It had to. I know my mom. I know my mom better than just about anybody, and I love my mom to death. And she is a stubborn woman, but if there's one person that can get her to come around or at least talk to her so she'll listen. And the older I get, the more I realize me and my mom have a lot in common. As far as like when you first tell us something, we might take it and blow up and just not be happy with what you said and just get shut down on you. But we come around. So, you know, that unpacked a lot between me and my mom to have different conversations and just talk through things. I'm like, and I understand, like I'm my mom's only child. You know, like she's seen me do many things throughout life, and this was the one where that happened to involve another womanly figure. So just her processing that and me talking through it, and you know, we both have an issue with expressing how we actually feel. So it got uncomfortable. That was some awkward, really couple weeks after the wedding. Yeah. Cause you know, we're gonna see each other again. Like, Kay is gonna see my mom again, and we're all gonna mingle together. It's just gonna happen. We're gonna eventually have kids, and that's gonna be their grandma, and you know, we're just gonna have to coexist. But after that, I feel like everything is like great now. Like, you know, everybody pulled that thorn out of their foot or whatever. Yeah. Like everything is cool. And of course my family welcomes her with open arms. They ask me about her. Every time my mom texts me, hey, tell Kay, I said, hey, tell Kay I love her. Yeah. You know, and it's every time. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that happened the way it did.
No, it didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good.
I was like, whoa,
it could have
been this?
Right. It could have been on another situation to where it just felt like, boom, like whoa, where did this come from? Like it could have been when we have children. Yeah. Like, it could have been, you know. Yeah. But it happened the way it should have happened. We talked through it. It made me really check my manhood, because like me personally, I love my family to death. But I left. At 18, I was out of there. I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I ain't coming back. I came back for a little while. I just want a different environment. And I am big on creating my own environment, my own world. You start to mess with that, that's when you see a different side of me. And she's a part of my world now, so I'm like, you can't disturb this peace over here. Like, it's not happening. I'm not letting nobody, no outside source disturb what we got going on, which is what everybody tells you when you're about to get married. It ain't gonna be the couple, it's gonna be everything around. But it definitely made me grow. Me and my mom's relationship definitely grew after that.
And so now as far as like in-laws, like my family is cool with him and his family is cool with me. Like my grandma be calling, my grandma be calling it
Mijo,
and he loved being a little Mijo boy. Like And so my grandma is Mexican, so that's why when she on the phone, she's like, "Hey, mijo," and he just be eating it up. He just happy to be a mijo.
Yeah, my mom's parents passed away a long time. I don't have I have a grandparent
that's around, but he's just not.
We just not close like we used to be, so I gotta adopt her grandparents.
Yeah, and they love him. I'm talking about my grandpa would be like, I really think you got a good one there. You got you a good one. I'm like, thank you. I got a little brother, a little sister, big sister, alongside with my big stepsister. Yeah.
I got a niece and nephew and another niece.
Yeah. Like he received like all of the stuff that he's never had before. Like I said, with him being the only child, like he didn't experience what siblinghood looks like, and he's even like seeing how me and my siblings operate, and he's able to like some stuff he don't understand. He just be like, bro, like, I don't understand. And I'm like, bro, that's my brother, like that's my sister. This is just what we do. But because he wasn't raised with siblings, he doesn't understand those dynamics. And so that's something that we within the 6 months have been trying to like figure out, because it's like sometimes if my siblings do something that bothers me, I'm gonna come tell him, and then he be like you ain't gotta deal with that. You ain't got. I'm like,
cut it.
Bro, this is my siblings. Like I was raised with them hardcore. Like it ain't no just. I'm just venting to you, but those are my siblings and I love them and they get on my nerves, but I'm just coming to you. But because he doesn't have siblings, he doesn't know what. Sometimes he be like, well, you ain't gotta really talk to me. And I'm like, we're in family chats and stuff. We talk every day now. Like,
I'm big on that. You ain't gotta talk to him.
Right. And I'm just like, bruh, siblinghood don't work like that. Now, I will have to like distance myself if you get to doing too much. But like I said, many times my family they just have a lot of input to say all the time. And sometimes it's just like, bruh, we ain't gotta do all that. Y'all can just keep that. But
the funny thing about her family, they always say she doing too much. You know, before we were married, they say she doing too much.
Oh, she extra.
And now that we're married, they still say she doing too much, but it's really me behind the scenes.
My brother is picking up on that, because that last trip we went to Texas, he was like, Chris be doing this too much. He was like, but now that I know you, Jay, it's actually y'all be doing too much. And I'm like, bruh, because we literally feel the same about a lot of things.
We just like our space. We like our peace.
Listen. And they always thought it was me. They was like, Chris is just extra. She do too much. Because I will just not talk to you if I feel like you doing too much. I will just ignore the phone. I will not show up. And now, he's literally the same way. When we go to Texas, if my brother's having, he has a nice house and he has extra rooms, and if we're going down there, and if other people are staying at his house, like other family members from his wife's side, or even my family, if too many people staying in the house, we finna get a hotel. That just is what it is. My brother be like, bruh, but y'all had a room here. Y'all told us first, so y'all got a room. And I'm like, okay, but we don't want to share a bathroom with everybody. We don't do that. And so the first time he thought it was me being extra. He was just like, Chris, y'all, you just extra. Y'all ain't gonna get no hotel. And I'm like, bro, my husband is the one who actually suggested it. And so now my brother's like, okay, so it's both of y'all. So it's just cool, them, having him and embracing him, and now they're just figuring out, okay, now I see why y'all actually together.
Yeah, I do feel comfortable around her family. Past relationships, if the girl had siblings, uncles, and whatever, I didn't really talk to them as much as I talked to her family. I feel like I at least talk to her brother on a weekly basis about something, whether we talking about some type of investment, or I'm sending him something to cook that I seen on Instagram. He makes the best. Oh. We almost Hey, this couch. Oh, hey, excuse this couch.
I know. We don't usually record here. Y'all ain't never seen this couch. This couch came from his place, and we keep it in our little theater room or whatever. But y'all just heard that sound, so it might be. I've been trying to have him get rid of this couch, but he bro, it's black and it matched the black room, and I'm like, bro, it's old. but y'all just
We'll get
experienced
new
it,
eventually.
and it's just probably cracked at
And
this
that
point.
ain't crazy. It's because you.
It ain't cause me, it's cause how long you had this couch and what you was doing on this couch before we got together.
What I was doing you.
Not on this couch, no, you was not.
Oh, that's where we were sitting at. It's the same couch that was in my place that you never been to.
You was doing some stuff on this
Anyways,
couch.
I was
That's why
sharing
I just did
that her brother makes the best ribs.
And y'all know I don't know if y'all knew, but like we used to be like vegan hardcore, but we kind of from time to time will dabble in like eating meat if we're on vacation.
Further research.
Yeah, if we're on vacation or something like that, we will. But you know, we will have some meat or whatever. But my brother, them ribs. I mean, every time. So yeah, so you be sending him cooking videos. I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty much. If you get a cooking video, I send it to you.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. Them ribs aren't good.
Yeah, man. So family, I actually have family tattooed on my arm, and the story behind it was something I always wanted that I feel like I didn't get a full effect of it.
Do you think that was because you was an only kid, or do you think it's because your family was older, or a mixture of both?
A mixture of both, and I just think you got to think like our parents. The world just looks so different, and as I got older, I understood. Like my mom and my stepdad, they had to work. You know, I spent a lot of days at home by myself. I walked to school by myself. You know, I was a latchkey kid at a pretty young age. Like you probably wouldn't get away with that nowadays.
They calling the people on.
And I spent a lot of time just being quiet at home. I have no brothers and sisters.
Which is another thing
that I live with. Only time I got to interact with people was at school. And when I wasn't in school and they were working, especially in the summers, it's just spent a lot of time being quiet. So.
And that's another thing in this 6 months of marriage that I've been trying to. Cause like I said, silence to me, it'd be like, what? I enjoy my silence, but when it's like I'm married to you, like why are you so quiet? But I think a lot of what I've learned in this 6 months is a lot of our upbringings, like really shows up in your adulthood, like how you were raised. Even if you don't stick with every single thing, how you were raised will come up as an adult. And him, like he was just saying, like because he was always by himself, he just quiet. Everything was just quiet, and so sometimes that stems from him just being just quiet all the time. It was just him, and it was just him and his games or his TV or whatever. And so it's like that's something that I'm having to get used to because it's like we ain't got to sit up and talk every day because I like my quiet time too. It's opposite for me. Like I was raised in a house with 4 kids, and so when it could be quiet, I was happy about it.
Quiet was a pleasure for you.
Right. And
quiet to me wasn't a choice.
Yeah, that's
why I don't like when it's quiet in the car.
Right. And so it's like I enjoy quiet time. I enjoy doing my thing. He could be upstairs, I can be downstairs. But in my mind, I'm like, dang, it shouldn't be quiet for that long. But to him, it's like, I ain't doing nothing wrong. And I'm like,
right, I'm cool.
Bro, you been up there for 5 hours. We ain't said 2 words to each other. And he's just in his own world, and that's something else that I've had to get used to because, like I said, I can only be in my own world for so long before, when I was growing up, before a sibling come ask for something, before you going outside to play with them, before you know what I'm saying? And so that's something I've been having to get used to. Like, his silence doesn't mean a problem. It's just, this is what it is. But sometimes it's like, okay, but can we pull out some of your childhood and change it up a little bit because you are married now. We do live together. Like I do have long days at work, and I do want to like talk to you about it or whatever without it feeling like I'm intruding. Because his personal space be so personal, it be making you feel like you are intruding into his space. Like, bro, I was just trying to say hey or what's up, like how you doing? But because he's so
bad, I got better at that. Like way better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you used to be, but I'm saying within this marriage, like you've gotten better. Now I'm like, okay, I'll come in, he'll make sure he comes down and say, hey, how was your day? He might run back up, he got a meeting, or he'll come back to the game, but he makes it an effort to come down and say what's up or whatever. But yeah, so that's another thing. Well, the marriages, your upbringing really plays a part in like kind of your adulthood to a degree, and that's
you're the same. Like people, I think a lot of times people forget we were a kid version of ourselves.
Yeah.
You're the same kid.
Right.
You just got way more responsibilities. Hopefully.
Right.
You're that same kid.
Yeah.
Them same fears, them same strengths, they were just in a different form. Like you wasn't in 5th grade, worried about paying a mortgage or your rent or anything like that, but your 5th grade self is kind of still very awake and in your life.
Which is why we often have conversations about future kids, like, because that upbringing is very, very important because it really shapes the adult you, like it really does. And so that's another thing we've been talking about, like in the 6 months of marriage, like what do we want our life for our future kids to look like? Do we want them in public school, private schools, Montessori school, home school, vaccinated, not vaccinated? Like we have these kinds of conversations because like we were just saying, your upbringing really shapes in some way or form the adult you, and we just want to make sure that we just want to make sure we create a well-rounded adult. Like kids, you know what I'm saying? Like kids are cool and all, and it's just like we want to make sure that we're putting them in the right environments, we're teaching them the right things, so that when they become an adult and maybe get married, like they'll be able to bring some greatness to, you know what I'm saying, to their marriage and to the world. But yeah, I think overall, if I had to if in one word you had to say what 6 months of marriage has been or how it looks or whatever, like how would you describe 6 months of marriage like in one word?
In one word? Man. Or
one phrase, or
I have to unlearn and relearn things that I thought came naturally or stuff you didn't have to explain. Like, that book of unwritten rules that exist.
That's another thing I forgot to mention, the unwritten rules. Back to him being on the child thing. I think that was the one thing I needed to we kind of had to address. Like, in my household growing up, you don't ever eat the last of somebody's something. Like, you just don't do it. That, something flying in here. I think, towards the beginning, I feel like you might have ate something, and then when I came home, you was like, oh, I'll just go to the store today and get it. And I'm like, it might have been a chip. It was something.
A singular chip.
No, it was something, but you were just like, he was like, I'm sorry, I'll just go get you some more. And I'm like, I understand that you will give me some more, but when I came home, I was looking forward to having this, and you just ate it. Like, what? And so, I can't remember what it was, but you were just like,
it didn't happen.
You were like, I'll just go to the store. Like, in your mind, it was just not a big deal. And I'm like, bruh, that's an unspoken rule. Don't eat nobody's last nothing. Don't do that. And so,
I don't know if I did that.
You did, because you were just like,
do that to me.
But you were just like, I'll just go to the store and get another. And you literally said you just go to the store and get another.
It's probably because there's a very high chance of what it was. You probably weren't gonna eat it, and then it was.
If it was the last one,
and it happened to be. When I ate it, it was that time he was like, you know what? I'm going to actually eat this.
So because it sat there for maybe 2 days, you thought it was like free game. No.
Hey, we share a common area.
No. But that's the unspoken, that I had to speak of. I'm like, bruh, you don't eat the last of somebody something. We don't do that. Yeah, so you said you would describe it as
unlearn what you thought you knew and be ready to learn some new things.
Okay. I would agree with that, and then I would also say if I had to sum it up in one word or one phrase, the first 6 months of marriage it's been life changing, honestly. From the day before we got married to now, I think I mean, my idea about things have changed and are changing, and you've kind of brought to the forefront certain things that I may or may not have known about myself, but based on your response to certain things or whatever, that's made me. It's like a mirror. They say marriage is a mirror. Like, you look at that person and or the way you respond to that person or whatever, it makes, you see yourself. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I do think a little bit too much, or maybe I didn't have to say it like that, or maybe, so it's been life-changing. It's been hard. It ain't easy. Like, it was easy the first little months where you honeymooning, and we've traveled every month since we've gotten married, and all of that is fine and dandy and nice, and then you come home and it's like, okay, how are we like at home? Because we're always on the go. So what is marriage look like when it's just us at home on an everyday basis? Like, we go to work, we come home. What does that look like? And how do I really like you? Do you really like me? Like, now we don't have any fluff around us. It's just us. And yeah, so I think marriage it's been interesting, and I'm enjoying it. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I know we said, like, it can be hard. And everybody says, like, marriage is work, marriage is this. I still don't believe that marriage is necessarily hard. I just think, like, the individuals, they have to get over, like what I said earlier, things they thought they knew, whether it be about themselves or the other person. Does marriage bring that out? Absolutely.
Maybe they should say, instead of saying marriage is hard, they should say marriage is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's been uncomfortable up in there.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't say, like, it's hard. It's okay, are the two individuals actually trying to be married? Like,
right. Are they on the same page?
Are they on the same page, and do you know yourself, or are you trying to learn more about yourself so you can be a better version for your partner? I'd say those are the hard things. Being married, as far as the literal meaning of marriage, you just gotta go sign some papers and you married. I got some friends that's in the military that's been married for a long time for other reasons. I ain't gonna put their business out there like that. But I'm just saying, being married is easy. It's developing oneself and
being happily married,
and the other person developing, and being happily married. That's
marriage is easy, but being happily married is where it can get uncomfortable, because you have to have those uncomfortable situations. Because you're coming into a space with somebody that you've never been in a space with, so it's uncomfortable having those talks, and like, that ain't clean, or that ain't this, or this ain't that. It's uncomfortable to have those conversations, because it's like, we live in the same house, but I'm uncomfortable and you're not, and why? But yeah, so I wouldn't say it's hard, but I would say that marriage can be uncomfortable, but it's good, because once you figure that out, then you good until the next thing you got to figure out, and that's just life in general. Every time, as you grow, there's going to be some growing pains. Like, that's just when you grow from a kid to an adult. You losing teeth, your bones is growing. Like, it hurts literally to grow up. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you grow up and then you become all right. Like, that's the same thing with marriage. Like, there's gonna be some, like, to grow in your marriage, you're gonna have to, have them conversations, or people might have tough time. We haven't, we're 6 months in, so Lord, hope we will never have, like, tough times, financial and all that. But right. It's like, in order to grow, there's going to be some uncomfort, and that's just is what it is. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being uncomfortable in certain seasons if I know that there's greater on the other side. So yeah, that's our 6 months of marriage, half a year old. We half a year old.
Half a year.
And yeah, we'll do this again, maybe at a year or a year and a half, but just to see if our responses changed or how we feeling.
We could, what's old boy name that he used to send the advice videos and he got caught cheating and he, like, reacted to himself? We could do one of them.
Derek Jackson or something.
We could pull a Derek Jackson and we could watch the video and be like, the young man in this video at the time was feeling like blah, blah, blah.
Like, all right, we can react to our own videos. Yeah.
But on that note, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the JK Way. All the love and all the happiness to you all. If you haven't grabbed your business attire, everything is 50% off. That is in stock. Go check it out. You're not gonna find hoodies cheaper or jogger sets, full jogger sets for like, I want to say like $25, $30. And you're not gonna get a full jogger set for that price. Definitely go check it out. We greatly appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys.
But until next time, the JK Way is out. Peace.